Chapter 51. If his speed is still second-rate, then who is first-rate? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hey, wanna swap jerseys, man? Marin strolled over after the game, still clutching his jersey. Ye Chen looked up. Is that how you ask for a jersey swap? Marin stammered. Okay, you're good. Will you swap with me? Nah. Ye Chen shot him down, but Marin was desperate for Ye Chen's jersey. He plopped down, leaned in, and whispered, "Look, I gotta admit you're the real deal. The media had me all twisted before, making me think you were some flash-in-the-pan rookie. You're not a hotshot at all, Manchester United is. Their youth program dropped a freakin' genius." Ye Chen eyed Marin. So, he got dissed. Come on, just one jersey swap. I'm tellin' ya, you could be a legend like Franz Beckenbauer or Gerd Müller. In Germany, Beckenbauer and Gerd Müller are household names, they're national heroes. Ye Chen finally nodded. Alright, fine. Now that the guy was being so polite, he gave in. But remember this, never look down on Chinese people again. No way, never. Marin beamed. Thanks, man. Ye Chen's lip twitched. This kid, was he hitting on him? If he remembered correctly, Marin ended up at Chelsea later, but Mourinho didn't like him. Right now, Marin was a rising star, and Kroos was being called the next big thing in German soccer. But Kroos would become a legendary midfielder with 5 Champions League titles, while Marin would bounce around different leagues. Knowing what he knew about these players' careers, Ye Chen knew he had to make his choices carefully. Sometimes, the right decision is more important than working your tail off. Just look at Hazard. He busted his hump at Chelsea and never won the Champions League, then strolled into Real Madrid and got the trophy without even playing. But no need to worry about the future. Ye Chen just wants to embrace the present. For now, he was still fighting for a starting spot. Marin bounced off happily with the jersey. Just then, Xiangchuan and Gotze came over. Gotze grinned. Hey Yi, get up. Time to go thank our awesome fans. Kagawa's smile got even wider. Our cutie Lena's out there too. Ye Chen laughed. Lena's here, huh? Think the coach will give me a night off? Maybe. Gotze wasn't so sure. Usually, they didn't dare ask for time off all willy-nilly. After all, Klopp was known for running a tight ship. You couldn't just skip out whenever you felt like it. That was probably how Dortmund managed to snag the Bundesliga title last year. German soccer culture was like that in all aspects. After a game, the players wouldn't just bolt for the locker room, but they thanked the fans. Since it was Werder Bremen's home turf, the players had to circle the field and show their appreciation. Even though they'd lost, the fans weren't leaving in a hurry. That's what winning together and losing together truly meant. Dortmund's fans were all crammed into the visitor section. So the Dortmund players went over to their stands and bowed to them. The fans returned the gesture with roaring applause. That's what real love looks like. Just like Ye Chen and Lena. Back in the locker room, Ye Chen got in touch with Lena. The team wasn't too keen on having girlfriends hanging around on the team bus, which left Ye Chen with a problem: how to ask Klopp about it. Ye Chen showered, changed into some street clothes, and found Klopp packing up. Coach. Seeing Ye Chen squirming, Klopp cut him off. Lena's waiting outside, and you wanna ask for a night off, right? Ye Chen nodded sheepishly. She's in the parking lot. Go on, just be back with the team the day after tomorrow. Klopp waved him off. And try not to get your picture taken by the reporters. Got it. Thanks, coach. Ye Chen grabbed his bag and practically skipped out of the locker room. Lena, baby, here I come. Gotze and Kagawa exchanged glances. The boss was way too soft on Ye Chen, wasn't he? Some guys have all the luck. Leaving the stadium, Ye Chen pulled on a mask and headed for the parking lot, where Lena was already waiting. Chen, congrats on your goal. Lena threw her arms around him, beaming. Ye Chen grinned back. Glad to have you transfer to Dortmund. We'll be together starting next week. Lena nodded. So, where are we headed? You eaten? Just a hot dog, but I'm trying to watch my figure, so I usually skip dinner. Can't do that. You need to eat to keep your strength up. Ye Chen shook his head. Let's go back to my place, and I'll whip something up. You can cook. Lena looked surprised. You'll see. Bremen was a good 2 hours away from Dortmund. Renting a car all the time was pretty pricey, so Lena mentioned that she was going to take advantage of Ye Chen's day off to return the Porsche and pick up a scooter for herself. Ye Chen didn't object. With all that prize money from the last 3 games, buying a car was a drop in the bucket. While Ye Chen was driving back to Dortmund, the soccer world was buzzing. 3 games, 3 hat tricks. Ye Chen had made Bundesliga history again, and get this, Ye Chen had been coming off the bench, and his total playing time was only 149 minutes. That kind of insane scoring rate made him one of the best in Europe. Manchester United's cast-off lights up Germany. Dortmund's new striker bags 9 goals in 3 games, makes history. Youth program, my foot. Ye Chen slaps Manchester United in the face, you can't afford me now. The worst contract termination in Manchester United history, David Gill cuts Ye Chen. Ye Chen's net worth exceeds $10 million. The news was everywhere, and back in England, Ferguson watched the highlights of Ye Chen's game for the first time. His hands were shaking. David, what kind of genius did you let slip through my fingers? Isn't Ye Chen the striker I've been looking for all this time? Ferguson was devastated, teetering on the brink of high blood pressure. But what was done, and Ferguson knew he was in trouble. Thankfully, Ferguson never backed down from a challenge. After the game, the head coaches from both teams took part in the post-game press conference. Hello, Coach Olofs. Did you get the text from Coach Lu Sukai? Yep, I replied. Olofs nodded. He was telling me how this kid's got world-class finishing but second-rate speed. So I gotta ask, if that's second-rate speed, who's first class? The audience erupted in laughter. Every reporter in the room had just watched the game. Before, maybe you could argue with that statement, but after that insane sprint at the last corner? No way. Chapter 52 Fusion Technique, Super Heavy Gunner. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ye Chen's game was constantly evolving, so Lu Sukai knew that even the reminder he'd given his buddy last game wouldn't cut it anymore. Of course, only someone who'd survived that brutal training regimen could change so drastically. Meanwhile, Klopp and Kyle were at the post-game press conference. Reporter asked Klopp if Ye Chen would start the next game. Klopp confirmed it, saying, "Ye's on fire right now. There's no way I'm keeping him on the bench." Do you have a response to Ferguson's comments? Ferguson's a legend at Manchester United, but he's off base here. Yes, Ye Chen came up through our youth system, but his talent was plain as day at Manchester United. Crystal clear. Actually, I owe Manchester United a thank you. If they hadn't let him go, how would we have gotten our hands on such a gifted scorer? Klopp was all smiles. He was genuinely grateful to Manchester United. Let's be real, Ye Chen's transfer value is way over €100 million, but the thing is, you can't buy a player like him for any amount of money. Klopp's words were a clear jab at Ferguson, bordering on bragging. Ferguson, back in England, quickly fired back. I admit the team misjudged Ye's talent, but I believe character trumps football skill. What good is a great player who won't even play for his own country? Just like that, Ye Chen was back in the spotlight. Ye Chen caught wind of Ferguson's words, too, but you know what they say. Don't open your mouth if you don't know the situation. It's like someone's fuming mad, and you have no clue why, but you keep telling them to calm down. That's just asking for trouble. The situation with the national team is different from other countries, but Ye Chen didn't want to get into it. You don't air your dirty laundry in public. Lena got settled into Dort Business School, living in the dorm and only coming to Ye Chen's villa on weekends. She was crazy about the villa, though. Besides the amenities, the design and location were perfect, plus, there was a huge field in the back where Ye Chen could still train when the team had time off. Living next door to Klopp was a bit awkward, especially when she ran into Klopp's wife the next morning, who mentioned the house's less than stellar soundproofing. It made Lena blush crimson, but Klopp paid the price, too, spending the whole night wide awake because his wife wouldn't leave him alone. Ye Chen took some time to claim his reward from the system for the game against Werder Bremen. This was the system's main task, and it dropped a new one every game, and since Werder Bremen was a tough opponent, the initial reward for this game was a silver treasure chest, but Ye Chen, after scoring a hat-trick and leading the team to a comeback, leveled up the prize to a golden treasure chest. What can he say? He's just that good. Ye Chen couldn't wait to crack open the treasure chest. Ding! Congratulations, host, for obtaining the S-level skill, body goal, body. As in, body studa. Ye Chen was stunned when he got the reward. He watched the game a little later, so he never saw body studa in his prime on the field, but videos came to the rescue. Ye Chen was lucky enough to watch highlights of body studa's long-range shots. The scariest part was that he could blast a goal at 77 miles per hour. What does that even mean? The goalie in front of the net might not even have time to react before the ball hit the back of the net. This skill was straight up magical. Although having the long shot mandatory card had already improved his shooting power and shooting stats, he realized that his long shots still needed work if he didn't trigger the skill. Just as Ye Chen was about to open the attribute panel to see what this skill added to him, the system chimed in. Ding! The system detects that the S-level skill, body goal, and the S-level skill, long-range mandatory card, share overlapping attributes, meeting the conditions for skill fusion. Do you wish to perform skill fusion? Skill fusion. The system could do that. Fuse them, without a second thought, Ye Chen chose fusion. Ding! Skill fusion complete. Congratulations, host, for obtaining the SS-level skill, Super Heavy Gunner. Another SS-level skill. He'd improved so much this game, thanks to the sudden appearance of the poacher, he wasn't expecting to get a second SS-level skill so soon. Heart racing, hands shaking. Ye Chen clicked on the skill description, Super Heavy Gunner, long-range shot success rate plus 20%. Passive skill. Long-range mandatory card, every 3 long-range shots is guaranteed to score once. Can be activated once per game. It leveled up. It used to take 5 shots to break through, but now it only took 3. The best part was the plus 20% to long-range shot success rate. That was a passive skill, meaning at least 20% of his shots were guaranteed to be goals. This skill was insane. Ye Chen took a deep breath before opening his personal attribute panel. Shooting jumped by 5 points, straight to 85. Shooting power hit 90, an increase of 10 points. His arc also improved again, from 65 to 70, and, to Ye Chen's surprise, his set pieces went straight from 65 to 75. In other words, this skill gave him 30 bonus attribute points. That was unreal. Body studa, you're the man. Pumped, Ye Chen grabbed a soccer ball and headed out to the yard, which soon filled with the bang 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 of shots. When Klopp saw Ye Chen's shooting moves and accuracy, his jaw almost hit the floor. This kid's long-range shots had definitely improved. This kid was a monster, plain and simple, getting better right before your eyes. The team started prepping for the Champions League match, and Klopp went to the team as fast as he could. When he got to the club, he saw Marvin Yi already on the field. Yi, didn't I tell you today's a day off? Klopp asked Ye Chen, who was drenched in sweat. Boss, I don't need a day off. Ye Chen said after getting the system's reward, he needed to train to stabilize his state and start strengthening his weak spots. He had several skills at 40 points or higher, but the attribute panel still had a lot of 50s and 60s, those were what he was desperate to improve. He was on a mission to become the best player out there. After all, seeing Ye Chen so fired up, Klopp couldn't help but feel moved. With talent and dedication like that, how could he not succeed? At this point, we have to sing a song for Manchester United. Listen, give thanks, because you won the 4 seasons. Chapter 53. Yebi Kagawa is a bigger threat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dortmund's next opponent is Olympiakos, a Greek powerhouse more renowned for their basketball program than their football team. It's worth noting that Marin, the guy Ye Chen totally outplayed last game, will be seeing a lot more of him in the future. Talk about a nightmare scenario for Marin. it just goes to show, making the right choices is more important than just grinding it out. Like Einstein said, success is 90% perspiration and 1% inspiration. Without that tiny spark of inspiration, all the hard work in the world won't matter. But this game isn't Ye Chen's concern. He needs to focus on the upcoming league match. Ye Chen did catch the post-match press conference. Klopp confirmed he'll be starting in the next league game, with the position and tactics to be finalized in the strategy session the day before. Meanwhile, their next rival is holding their own tactical powwow. And the main topic? How to shut down Ye Chen. 9 goals in 3 games. If you're not game planning for that, you're not much of a head coach. At Cologne's training facility, head coach Saul Bacon and his staff were glued to the big screen. They were analyzing Ye Chen's movements and his game-winning goal against Werder Bremen. Unbelievable. Manchester United cut this guy. What are their scouts even doing? Ferguson actually said he was just average in practice. That speed is elite level in Europe. He's definitely quick, but his initial burst could be better. True, and Klopp's been using him as a sub for 3 straight games. Stamina could be a problem. I've seen a bunch of Chinese teams play in the AFC Champions League. They usually run out of gas after 70 minutes. Endurance is their Achilles heel. Aren't Korean players known for their great conditioning? Yeah, and the Japanese players are kinda weak, like Tomoaki Makino on our team. Come on, you can't even compare Makino Tomoaki to Ye Chen. He's not in the same league. Fair point. Everyone agreed. Saul Bacon cut through the chatter. Let's focus on Ye Chen's strengths and weaknesses, okay? He's super fast, but his acceleration could use some work. Great ball control and passing skills. Killer long shots and amazing on set pieces. That the more they discussed, the more impressive Ye Chen seemed. How did a player this good get released? Maybe that's just standard for a team like Manchester United. Saul Bacon nodded. So, how do we contain him? Pollock, your thoughts? Pollock, Cologne's assistant coach, was in charge of scouting. You've got to double team a player like Ye Chen. Werder Bremen did it well in the second half. Naldo kept him from cutting inside, and Papastathopoulos went for the steals. We can take a page from their book, Pollock suggested. Problem is, Ye Chen likes to drop back to get the ball. If our defenders follow him, we'll lose our shape. Another coach, Schill, pointed out. Well, what's your genius idea, then? Pollock retorted, clearly annoyed. I'm thinking zone defense. Schill said firmly. If we absolutely have to man-mark, it's better to use a defensive midfielder for cover. Seriously? Pollock scoffed. If our defensive mid is stuck on Ye Chen, the middle of the field will be wide open. Don't forget they've got guys like Kagawa. At this point, Kagawa's a bigger threat. Schill countered. But Kagawa can change a game in an instant. That the argument escalated. If Ye Chen were there, he'd probably just shrug. After all, a loss is just a loss. Saul Bacon stepped in. Alright, calm down. Let's not fall apart before kickoff. True, and don't forget, we have Podolski. Podolski, currently second in the league for goals scored. He's nicknamed Prince Polti. Tough, fast, with a booming shot and a powerful presence. Cologne spent €10 million to bring this super striker back from Bayern. And on March 2010, he scored a free kick from 36 meters out against Bayern, helping Cologne tie the game and earning him MVP honors. This game is shaping up to be a showdown for the scoring title. How will we approach Dortmund? The next game is at Westfalenstadion. Pollock said with a frown. Westfalenstadion, a stadium that strikes fear into opponents. Saul Bacon sighed. This Dortmund team is a nightmare. Kagawa, Götze, Perisic and Gundogan were already a handful, and now they've got Ye Chen. The coaches were stumped. Okay, it's still early. Everyone go back, brainstorm ways to deal with Ye Chen, and bring your ideas to the next meeting. Saul Bacon urged. They could blame David Gill if he hadn't terminated Ye Chen's contract. Ye Chen would be playing in England right now, and Cologne wouldn't be facing this headache. Don't worry, Staller, we'll figure something out. Yeah, the Bundesliga's no place for a 17-year-old to run wild. If all else fails, we can always get a little physical, she'll muttered darkly. Solbakken quickly rebuked him. Cyril, remember who you are. Besides, football is a sport, not a place to promote violence. Cyr didn't seem to care. Black feet are too obvious for us, but don't forget, we have a player from Japan. I know they don't have much love for China. Thorbacken's stern look softened, replaced by thoughtful consideration. Can you do it without raising suspicion? Cyr lowered his voice. Tomoaki Makino's barely playing because he's too reckless on defense. We've been worried about our own guys getting hurt. But what if we just let Tomoaki Makino defend Ye Chen? With his rough style, it's not our fault if Ye Chen gets hurt, right? A classic case of plausible deniability. Meanwhile, the target of all this scheming, Ye Chen, was completely unaware. He was focused on addressing his weaknesses, strengthening his defensive skills alongside Kagawa. He quickly came to appreciate Kagawa's incredible talent, so quick, so agile, and masterful with his feet. They say Japan is the Brazil of Asia, and he was starting to understand why. Chapter 54 Lewandowski broke out. Is the starting position dangerous? You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Dortmund's first team, under Jurgen Klopp, departed for Greece to play Olympiakos, Ye Chen, unusually, skipped training to take Lena to a car dealership. Like back home, the dealerships were all clustered together. Before coming to Germany, Ye Chen had assumed BMWs and Mercedes-Benz would be everywhere, being German brands. But he quickly learned that most Germans are just regular folks who also appreciate Japanese cars. Ye Chen, however, wasn't considering a Japanese brand, they just weren't prestigious enough. His signing bonus, salary, and first-stage bonus had already arrived, fast-tracked thanks to Klopp's approval and manager Watzke's support. He now had almost 30 million euros at his disposal. The signing bonus alone was 20 million euros, nearly 200 million Chinese yuan. Wow, he thought, I accidentally became a millionaire. Chen, which brand should we look at first? Lena asked, linking her arm with his. What do you think? Lena paused, then pointed to the Volvo dealership. I want to check that one out. Volvo? I thought you usually rented Mercedes-Benz, Porsches, stuff like that. Why Volvo all of a sudden? Because I think Chinese products are the best in the world. Lena said with a smile. And people, too, falling in love with a country because of one person. Ye Chen was surprised, touched by her words. He quickly recovered. Didn't Geely buy Volvo a while back? He knew from his past life that Geely owned 100% of Volvo, a key part of Geely's plan to create a high-end brand. He just didn't remember the exact acquisition date. Wow, you know so much about cars. Lena said, impressed. I only found out last night when I was looking it up. Geely signed the acquisition agreement on March 28, 2010, and finalized it in London on August 2. Now it was 2011, making Volvo, essentially, a Chinese brand. The three things guys love most are cars, women, and football. Ye Chen said, smiling. But I thought girls loved supercars. You seem to like that Porsche you rented. It wasn't that comfortable. Lena pouted. You know why I'm drawn to Volvo? Why? Because their homepage is the only one that doesn't just show cars, it shows family photos. Lena said, walking towards the dealership. I think it promotes a great family concept. Plus, I read online that they're the safest car brand in the world. Like a tank, Ye Chen added, chuckling. Exactly, a tank. Lena nodded. Safety and comfort are my priorities. Their cars are stylish but not flashy, which is exactly my style. Inside the Volvo dealership, Ye Chen was surprised to find that the salesperson was Chinese. After chatting, they quickly settled on a model, the Volvo S90. In Germany, it cost just over 40,000 euros, and with all the fees, it came out to just over 40,000. Ye Chen went to pay, but the salesperson told him that Lena had already taken care of it. She had used the excuse of going to the restroom to pay for the car in full. Ye Chen was taken aback. Are all foreign girls this independent? Besides appreciating Lena's thoughtfulness, Ye Chen didn't know what to say. He didn't really care about the money, but Lena always handled the details and always thought of him. Did he save the world in his last life? After the purchase, the salesperson revealed that she was a fan. Ye Chen, without putting on airs, took a photo with her before leaving the dealership, told her to let him know when the car was ready, and headed out. This was Ye Chen's first time buying a car, but it felt as easy as buying groceries. The whole process took maybe half an hour. It felt good to be rich. After leaving the dealership, they did some shopping before heading home. Turning on the TV, the sports channel was broadcasting Dortmund's away game against Olympiacos in the Champions League. Dortmund's main players were mostly out, with Lewandowski leading the attack, supported by Perisic on the left, Shinji Kagawa in the middle, and Götze on the right. The midfielders were Gundogan and Sven Bender. Ye Chen didn't remember the result of the game, but today Lewandowski was on fire. A header and an incredible backheel goal completed a hat-trick. Dortmund won 3-1 on the road. Ye Chen felt the pressure. Succeed or fail, Lewandowski was proving that he deserved to be a future world-class striker. Feeling the pressure, Ye Chen didn't back down. He rose to the challenge. Watching Lewandowski celebrate, Ye Chen knew he had to work harder. A good rival can be a catalyst, pushing you to improve. Lewandowski's in such good form. Will you even get a chance to start? Lena asked, worried. Ye Chen shook his head. That's out of my control. All I can do is keep working hard and getting better. That the coach's decisions were beyond him, but honestly, even with Lewandowski's Champions League hat-trick, it still wasn't as impressive as his own 3 consecutive hat-tricks. If Klopp still didn't start him, he'd be a little annoyed. The Champions League match was on the 19th, and the next league game was at 8:30 p.m. on the 30th. That meant the team had just 2 days to rest, and Lewandowski had played the full 90 minutes, and Klopp had started him instead of Ye Chen. Ye Chen would really be questioning the coach's decisions. Before Ye Chen could overthink things, Lena kissed him lightly on the cheek. You're amazing. You'll be fine. It's getting late. Let's go to bed, Ye Chen said, turning off the TV, planning to get some rest, but Lena shook her head. Not tonight. You need to save all your energy for the Cologne game. Huh? Ye Chen was confused. Lena smiled. After the Cologne game, I'll have a surprise for you. She ran to the bedroom, her bare feet padding softly. Ye Chen smiled. What was that saying? Never mind, young man, show some restraint. Otherwise, he'd be another fallen star. Just as Ye Chen got up to go to bed, a system notification popped up in his mind. Ding. Congratulations to the host for reaching 100 million loyal fans and receiving the primary halo. Fan blessings. Primary halo? What's that? Chapter 55 Domestic Statement. Overseas players under the age of 18 will not be recalled. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fan perks, plus 10% to overall performance, plus 5% to skills, and minus 5% chance of injury. Talk about a power-up. Ye Chen was blown away after reading the description. This system really knows how to keep things interesting. The boosts might seem small, but they're actually pretty significant. Performance is hard to quantify, but any player knows what it feels like, if Ye Chen's been burning the candle at both ends, he'll feel drained, and his running and shooting will be off. System, how many performance levels are there? 10, perfect, extraordinary, high, excellent, very good, good, average, slightly below average, poor, and low. So, what were my levels in the last few games? You can check before each game, but your performance in the first 3 games was extraordinary, and excellent. That explains it. Before the 3rd game, Ye Chen knew his running and long shots just weren't clicking. Turns out, his performance level was down. If he had this fan boost, he could have bumped it up to high. Of course, Ye Chen conveniently forgot the brutal training he put himself through in the days leading up to the games. Pushing that hard in practice and then competing at a high level, no wonder his performance only hit excellent. How many loyal fans do I need for the next level? Ye Chen asked the system. 10 million. Whoa. 10 million loyal fans is no joke. We're talking loyal fans, not just casual ones, and Ye Chen has no clue what the system's criteria are for loyal, but since the system rolled out this fan feature, there must be some kind of standard. All he can do is train hard, play his best, and let his skills win over the true fans. Whatever happens, happens. Meanwhile, the Werder Bremen game cemented Ye Chen's place in the headlines. 9 goals in 3 games put him in a tie for second place on the scoring list with Podolski and Bayern's Gomez. But Podolski needed 8 games to get there, and Gomez needed 9. Schalke 04's Huntelaar is currently the top scorer. Huntelaar is playing out of his mind this year. Even if you don't follow the Bundesliga, you know he's racked up an insane 29 goals. And remember, the Bundesliga only has 34 games in a season, that's almost a goal a game. Gomez, playing with Ribery on the left and Robben on the right, only has 26. Those 29 goals make Huntelaar not only the Bundesliga's deadliest scorer in the last 30 years, but also the foreign player with the most goals in a single season in Bundesliga history. But Ye Chen's arrival has thrown a wrench in the works. Will Huntelaar stay the foreign player with the most goals? Or will Ye Chen take the crown? Only time will tell. No one's comparing Ye Chen to Huntelaar just yet, because their next opponent is Cologne. The Schalke 04 showdown won't happen until round 14, now that's a game that all of Europe will be watching. But the battle between Ye Chen and Podolski for the scoring title is already heating up. Back in China, they're even calling it the Asian Derby. Cologne has a Japanese player, Tomoaki Makino, who plays defensive midfielder and center back. He's been with Cologne for a year, playing 5 games last year, only starting 1. He's played a bit more this season, starting 2 of 9 games, but Cologne lost every game he played in. In the second round against Schalke 04, they got destroyed 5-1, and Huntelaar scored a hat-trick. Makino earned a 5.8 rating that game. It's tough for Asian players in Europe. If you don't perform, you get benched or even cut. European players get more leeway. Coaches are more willing to give them second chances. After all, everyone makes mistakes when they're young, but that doesn't apply to Asian players. It's ingrained prejudice, even if it's unspoken. That's why someone like Shinji Kagawa is so valuable, and why Japan pays so much attention to him. Ye Chen's also gained a lot of fans in Japan, so, when a Japanese soccer forum posted Ye Chen vs Tomoaki Makino, who are you rooting for? Ye Chen actually got 23% of the vote. Even though he's not Japanese, they respect talent. Besides, while Tomoaki Makino is a well-known player back home, his performance in the Bundesliga has been underwhelming. Ye Chen's performance has won over a lot of Shinji Kagawa fans. After all, Ye Chen and Kagawa worked well together at Dortmund. Kagawa even racked up a few assists from Ye Chen, and Ye Chen often dropped back to help Kagawa shake off defenders. Meanwhile, back in China, there's a lot of negative press about Ye Chen. Someone seems to be pulling the strings behind the scenes. When Manchester United cut Ye Chen, they made a huge deal out of it. Players like Ye Chen who can't make it in Europe don't deserve a spot on the national team, they said then. After Ye Chen signed with Dortmund, they claimed Dortmund only signed him to tap into the Far East market. They said Dortmund learned from Shinji Kagawa and wanted to open up the Chinese market with Ye Chen. They even said that Ye Chen's spot on the roster was a backroom deal, bought with money. Before the game, they confidently predicted that Ye Chen's inclusion was just for show, and he'd never get to play. Then, of course, he came off the bench and scored a hat-trick, but the media didn't miss a beat. They downplayed it by saying that Bundesliga opponents are weak, and Ye Chen just had strong teammates. They're like fake fans, and Ferguson's comments gave them expert support, saying Ye Chen is good, but he should be scoring goals on teams like Bremen. And what happened next? Another hat-trick. The country went nuts. The national team lost to Iraq in the bird's nest, so what if they won a friendly against the UAE? In the real games, they can't score. The Football Association's official website was flooded with messages demanding that Ye Chen be called up to the national team. The Football Association finally caved and issued a statement. To ensure that overseas players have the best environment for development, we will not be recalling players under the age of 18. And a little dig at the end, fans should stop worshipping foreign players. The Chinese Super League is thriving, and domestic players are just as good as those playing abroad. Ye Chen should focus on his club. He's just a substitute right now, anyway. That statement stirred up a hornet's nest. Ye Chen scores 9 goals in 3 Bundesliga games, and the Football Association calls him a substitute. But they're not wrong, he was a substitute in those 3 games. Chapter 56 Ye Chen vs Tomoaki Makino, who had a good life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Domestic fans went ballistic, they crashed the Football Association's official website server. With a bunch of clueless suits running the FA, how will Chinese soccer ever get ahead? Seriously? Wake up and smell the coffee. The reality is, Chinese football is way behind. European football is top of the heap, that's a fact. You're telling me a guy who bags 9 goals in 3 games in Europe's top leagues is on par with domestic players? Are the fans out of touch, or is the Football Association clueless? Fans were fuming. Tan Bing, the Football Association's news director, was sweating bullets after taking a call. Bro, what do we do now? Tan Bing asked Liang Kai-lai, the U17 head coach, who was standing next to him. Play it cool. Liang Kai-lai said flatly, his hot streak won't last. What do you mean? I've looked at Dortmund's schedule. Bayern in the 13th round, Schalke 0-4 in the 14th. Once he shines in those 2 games, Bayern and Schalke will find a way to shut him down. Then, we can bring him back down to earth. Liang Kai-lai said coldly. But that's like, half a month away. No problem. The national team has a road game against Iraq. As long as the first team wins that game, we won't let Ye Chen back. Liang Kai-lai declared confidently. What if? What if the national team loses again? Tan Bing asked tentatively. Liang Kai-lai smirked. Don't sweat it. The last loss was because. Never mind, there's a lot of inside baseball I can't tell you. Just relax, we've got this. Right after the Football Association released its statement, Dortmund announced their 18-man squad against Cologne on their official website, and then, something surprising happened. Lewandowski, who just scored a hat-trick, wasn't on the roster. At the pre-match press conference, Klopp explained. Lewandowski played great in the Champions League, but his muscles are sore from playing so many games in a row. To play it safe, we're giving him a rest. Li Shinran asked Klopp directly, will Ye Chen start the next game? Why not? Klopp smiled. Ms. Li, get ready to watch your countryman make his first start at the Westfalenstadion. Ye, who'd come off the bench in the last game, had won over Dortmund fans with those 3 goals. The fan association had even written a song of Ye Chen, which was spreading like wildfire among the fan groups. Some hardcore Dortmund fans even made a video of Ye Chen's 9 goals, set to this song of Ye Chen. The lyrics were simple, but super catchy. Holla holla Ye Chen Ye Chen. Ye Chen from Manchester United. Our favorite Huaxia boy, Ye Chen Ye Chen. Our all-powerful Ye Chen. Just 4 lines, but with a melody that stuck in your head after just one listen. As Dortmund's pre-match press conference wrapped up, Cologne's press conference began. Dortmund will probably start Ye. Do you have a plan? They have Leaves, we have Zhejiang. Solbakken said proudly. Are you talking about this Asian derby? This isn't an Asian derby, it's just a Bundesliga game. Besides Ye, Dortmund also has Kagawa, who's also Asian. Solbakken shook his head, dismissing the idea, but once both press conferences were over, the internet exploded in China. The Football Association's server had barely been repaired before it crashed again. Are you kidding me? It's starting in less than a day. That's what you get when you talk smack. Ye Chen is not a substitute. He's just a substitute now. and you're brain dead, that the Football Association's IT guys must have been ready to quit. And then, another reporter interview dropped. Tomoaki Makino said after training, everyone knows Ye is a super scorer in the Bundesliga now, but I'm really good at dealing with Chinese players. Ever since I played for Japan, I've shut down China every time. I'll show the coach what I can do, and I'll be Ye's nightmare. Even if he's the Monkey King, he can't escape my woozishin. That this guy's actually read Journey to the West. Domestic fans lost it, they flooded Dortbar with comments. Ye Chen, kick this little Jap's ass. Screw this Zhejiang. That name is ridiculous, Tomoaki Makino, why not call him Maki's moron? You think Japan beats China because of you? Or is China just weak? I don't care what happens as long as Ye Chen schools this Zhejiang. I'll be his biggest fan. Chinese forums were in an uproar, but the story didn't get much traction overseas, and Ye Chen was too busy to pay attention to the news. Li Xinran caught him as he was leaving the training ground. Seeing her still hanging around late at night, Ye Chen agreed to a quick interview. Cologne player Tomoaki Makino says he's going to be watching you. What do you think? Who's Tomoaki Makino? Aren't Cologne's main center-backs Ritter and Sereno? Ye Chen asked, surprised. Earlier in the evening, Klopp had held a tactical meeting, and Ye Chen had learned about Cologne's regular starters and playing styles. Li Xinran paused and explained, he's a Japanese player. He says he has secret ways to handle Chinese players. He says he can freeze you during the game and regain the coach's trust. From then on, he'll reach the pinnacle of his career. Ye Chen couldn't help laughing. I suggest he quit soccer and become a novelist. Li Xinran giggled. So, can you predict whether you'll score against Cologne? I'm in good shape lately, let's say at least one. Ye Chen said modestly, honestly, as long as he was playing and not injured, he could guarantee a 1-0 lead. His long-range shot card had evolved into a super cannon, 3 shots and the goal was toast. Okay, thanks for the interview, and good luck tomorrow. Li Xinran gave him a sweet smile. By the way, the Chinese fans are rooting for you to beat Tomoaki Makino. You have to give it your all. I will. You head home. Remember to cheer for me tomorrow. Ye Chen waved and left the training ground. Looking at Ye Chen's back, Li Xinran's smile widened. She'd been hanging around Dortmund for a while now. Ye Chen was always the first one in and the last one to leave. If all Chinese players were like Ye Chen, they'd kill it overseas. Oh well. Chapter 57 Tomoaki Makino's Provocation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. October 22, 2011, 2:30 p.m. As the bus pulled up, the players piled out to a roaring welcome from Dortmund's famously enthusiastic fans. The players signed autographs and posed for group photos with their supporters. When Ye Chen stepped off, he noticed a lot of German fans alongside the Chinese ones, sporting his jersey and eager for an autograph or a picture. Wow, he's gorgeous. He must be a god back in the East. Seriously? Orientals can be this good-looking? I'm totally crushing on him. Ye Chen's appearance sent the female fans into a frenzy. Truth be told, the Dortmund squad was decent-looking, but lacked real heartthrobs. Hummels was handsome in a rugged, mature way. Ye Chen, on the other hand, was fresh-faced, a real matinee idol like Beckham back in the day. Plenty of girls in China who'd never cared about soccer before went absolutely nuts for it after seeing Ye Chen. Of course, some girls aren't really into the game itself, they just get a thrill from the raw, hormonal energy. Ye Chen spent a few minutes greeting fans before heading into the tunnel. Yi, how's it feel to be starting today? Gotze asked, catching up to him. Never mind me, you holding up okay? You look tired, Ye Chen replied, concerned. Dortmund wasn't rotating the squad much, sticking with their usual lineup. Sure, Kagawa got subbed out around the 60-minute mark last game, and Gotze around the 70th. Dortmund was running a high-intensity system. Simply put, it was all about winning the ball back high up the pitch through relentless pressing and counter-tackling, then tearing forward to create chances. This took a huge toll on the players' stamina. Götze had already played twice this week and was starting again, a real 3 games in a week grind. Ye Chen was worried about them burning out. Dude, you don't get it. I've been so knackered from the games that I haven't even had the energy to hit the bars. My girlfriend's complaining I'm too quick. Götze groaned. Hey, Yi, Lena giving you the same grief, Ye Chen's lip twitched. Some things are better left unsaid. She just tells me to hurry up. A man's gotta keep up appearances. Respect. Götze gave him a thumbs up. You get busy out there tonight, and I'll slip you the ball whenever I can. Alright. Greetings, sports fans. Welcome to the broadcast. Today, we're bringing you the Bundesliga match between Dortmund and Cologne at Dortmund's home ground. I'm Huang Jianxiang, your commentator for today, and next to me is my partner, John June. John June smiled. Good evening, everyone. I know a lot of fans are as excited as I am to see Ye Chen in action. We've got Dortmund's starting lineup, and Ye Chen is starting up front today. This is his first Bundesliga start. He's the youngest Chinese player ever to start abroad. Mark this day, folks. Because he represents the start of a new era. A new era? Isn't that jumping the gun a bit, John? Huang Jianxiang chuckled. Not at all. Ye Chen's already proven himself overseas, and his success will inspire more players to chase opportunities abroad. It's definitely a new chapter for Chinese soccer. Jean June said with a smile. There was a recent poll on Dortmund's official website, Ye Chen or 100 million euros. Option A was Ye Chen, option B was 100 million euros. 30,000 people voted, and only 2,000 chose option B. Ye Chen's performances have clearly won over the notoriously demanding Dortmund fans. Ye Chen's definitely earned the love. Huang Jianxiang agreed, smiling. I heard that Dortmund fans even wrote a song of Ye Chen for him. That shows just how much his influence is growing, John June nodded. I've heard it before. Should we give it a try? Huang Jianxiang suggested, grinning. Clearly, they were both prepared. 3, 2, 1. Holla holla Ye Chen Ye Chen, Ye Chen from China. The two commentators sang Song of Ye Chen together, their faces beaming with pride. As Chinese people, they were incredibly proud of Ye Chen's success in Europe. Many fans watching at home recorded the moment on their phones, vowing to learn the song. Of course, it was in German, so they had their work cut out for them. Not bad, that song's pretty catchy. Huang Jianxiang said, smiling. Jean June nodded. I hope the fans who love Ye Chen can learn it so we can all sing it when he scores. The TV screen switched to the players' tunnel, the referee and his assistants were ready, and the camera panned across the players' faces. Okay, the players are coming out onto the field. We can see Chinese teenager Ye Chen, making his home debut for Dortmund. He looks confident today, and what a stud. John June chimed in, there's a little subplot to this game. Cologne is assigning Japanese defender Tomoaki Makino to mark Ye Chen, and Makino said before the game that he won't give Ye Chen a single chance to shoot. That's like a frog with a big mouth and nothing to back it up. Huang Jianxiang scoffed. Even Brazilian international Naldo couldn't contain Ye Chen last game. Is he trying to jinx himself? We'll see how they both perform, but I agree that Ye Chen won't be easy to shut down. Jean June smiled. My only concern is that the Cologne players might resort to dirty tactics and try to injure Ye Chen. That the players were walking onto the field one by one. Each time a Dortmund player's name was announced, the stadium erupted in a deafening roar. Starting up front is our super striker, Ye Chen. Yeah. On the sidelines, Solbakken shook hands with Klopp. Jürgen, I've got a big surprise in store for you. Solbakken said with a smile. Bring it on. We bumblebees aren't afraid of anything. Klopp replied, grinning, though his clenched teeth gave him a menacing look. Some people just aren't meant to smile. especially when they're doing it through gritted teeth. The players on the field shook hands in a friendly manner. Podolski smiled at Ye Chen. Let's see who can score more goals today. Deal. Ye Chen replied, smiling. When Tomoaki Makino approached, he said in broken Chinese, "Hello, sick man of East Asia." Ye Chen's smile vanished instantly. Chapter 58 Ye Chen Responds. Come on, repeat what you just said. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There's a way to get into heaven without trying, but you can't just bust your way into hell. Ye Chen smirked. You're gonna regret saying that. Oh, really? Tomoaki Makino replied dismissively. His plan was simple: get under the kid's skin, mess with his focus, and screw up his game. But was Ye Chen gonna let him? The players were lined up, and the ref was checking his watch, ready to blow the whistle. Ye Chen scanned Cologne's roster. Besides Podolski, nobody seemed to recognize him. He knew Podolski because the guy ended up playing for Arsenal, and the reason Arsenal picked up Podolski was because he'd bagged 18 goals that season. He was brought in to replace Van Persie, who was feeling ambitious about other teams. Van Persie, the Arsenal captain, was sold after just a year. Remember when he said, "If anyone's loyal to Arsenal, it's me." We all know how that turned out. Back to the game. The ref blew his whistle, officially kicking off the 10th round of the Bundesliga. Cologne got the ball and immediately went on the attack. Ye Chen noticed that Makino Tomoaki was already charging at him. Looks like his only job today was to shadow him, but could he really keep up? Ye Chen wasn't even looking at him. Frankly, Makino wasn't even in his league. Ye Chen, with an 81 overall, was one of the Bundesliga's top players, especially among the young guys. Why should he worry about some no-name Japanese player who barely makes the Cologne lineup? He wasn't worth the effort. Cologne started strong. Podolski made a great run, and German midfielder Reinach hit him perfectly with a diagonal pass. Podolski immediately tested Weidenfeller with a rocket shot, but Weidenfeller reacted fast, punching the ball down before grabbing it. Podolski's shot earned applause from the away fans. A good effort, but the Cologne fans probably didn't realize that would be their only shot for the first 5 minutes. Weidenfeller played a ground pass upfield before Ye Chen could even get to the ball. Tomoaki Makino was all over him, like glue. Ye Chen wasn't fazed. He just kept jogging. The ball zipped between Dortmund players, quickly finding Götze on the wing. Ye Chen sprinted into the box, but the pass was too close to the keeper, and Lenzing snatched it up. Lenzing had once been hailed as the next big thing, the German youth team's starting goalie. Bayern scouts had spotted him early, launching his career. When Kahn retired in 2008, Lenzing became Bayern's number 1. That summer, he even took over the number 1 jersey Kahn had worn for 14 years, but then he hit a slump. He was unemployed until Cologne gave him a shot in 2010. Last season, he was the highest-rated player outside of Dortmund. Of course, Dortmund, who'd won the Bundesliga, held the top 5 spots. Now, the guy they called last season's best goalie was about to face Ye Chen. 4 minutes and 31 seconds into the game, Ye Chen got the ball in the attacking zone, and Makino Tomoaki immediately charged, but Ye Chen passed to Götze on the right first. Makino Tomoaki still barreled into Ye Chen, sending him staggering. "With me here, you won't even get a shot." Tomoaki Makino snarled. Ye Chen didn't say a word. Shooting chances weren't something you could just deny. The game went on. The ref was watching the play. Götze had the ball and tried to link up with Kyle in midfield, but the pass was intercepted. Matuszek dribbled forward, but he didn't get far. He pushed the ball ahead too much, and Sven Bender intercepted it, passing back to Subotic. Dortmund was playing a 3-5-1-1 formation. The fullbacks could also play as wingers, pushing up the field, while Ye Chen was the lone striker. Kyle was playing a bit further forward to support Ye Chen, and Shinji Kagawa was linking the play in the attacking zone. Klopp was clearly putting all his faith in Ye Chen. And Ye Chen wasn't about to let him down. The ball went back to the keeper. Weidenfeller waited for the Cologne players to drop back, then passed to Hummels. Hummels played it out to Schmelzer on the left. Schmelzer was practically a winger today, able to drive forward with the ball. He saw Götze on the right. In space, he sent a long ball right to him. Great footwork. Götze took the ball, and Jamal was right on him, but Götze didn't force a cross. Lenzing had already shown he could handle those. Without a target man in the middle, a cross would just give the ball back to the opposition. Just then, he saw Kagawa making a run. Gotza stopped short and chipped the ball up. Kagawa wasn't tall, and Matushik was marking him tight, but Kagawa didn't try to control it. He glanced it back with his head, like a flick on, the ball sailed behind him. Seeing Kagawa flick it on, Ye Chen took off. Silent as a shadow, fast as lightning. And Tomoaki Makino charged forward. Ye Chen touched the ball with his toes, stopping it dead in front of him. He took a small step sideways to the left, glancing at the keeper's position. He shaped to shoot. Crap, he's gonna shoot. Makino Tomoaki panicked and dove into a tackle. Even if he couldn't get the ball, he'd take Ye Chen down. Ye Chen snorted to himself, what a moron, that it was just a feint. Seeing Tomoaki Makino on the ground, Ye Chen flicked the ball up with his left foot with a light hop. Ye Chen jumped over Tomoaki Makino, who wildly stuck out his foot, studs up. They were at the edge of the box now, and the centre-backs were still a ways off. If they didn't stop this shot, Ye Chen would probably score, but even with his foot raised, spikes showing, he didn't touch Ye Chen. Ye Chen had seen it coming. How could he possibly succeed? When Ye Chen landed, he didn't control the ball. He just swung his leg and fired. Boom! The ball screamed towards the goal. Sereno, trying to defend, lunged to intercept, but he went flying. Lenzing looked terrified. The moment Ye Chen struck the ball, he moved. He launched himself like a hungry tiger, but he wasn't fast enough. Swish! The ball hit the back of the net. An unbelievable long-range strike. Pure, violent football. But instead of celebrating, Ye Chen turned and bent down to look at Tomoaki Makino. He wore a mocking expression, cupped his hand to his ear, and said, "Come on, say it again." Chapter 59 is hitting the ball in the face a foul. Wait online, urgent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Ye Chen rubbed it in by taunting him after the goal, Makino Tomoaki lost it. He jumped up and went to grab Ye Chen's jersey, yelling, "Think you're so tough? I just slipped up." Ye Chen wasn't having it and shoved him back. That's when the guys from both teams swarmed over. Goats gave Makino Tomoaki a push. You playing soccer or trying to start a fight? Even Kagawa stepped in. Makino, that was way out of line. Makino Tomoaki, eyes wide, snapped at Kagawa in Japanese, "Kagawa, we're on the same side. He's just a Chinese pig." Kagawa gritted his teeth. Soccer should be clean. That was a cheap shot. Ye Chen's teammates closed ranks around him, but the Cologne players were hanging their heads. No one was backing Makino Tomoaki. He'd never been part of the inner circle, and nobody respected his game. Plus, he was at least 50% to blame for giving up the ball in the first place, wasn't focused enough. But then someone came to Makino Tomoaki's rescue, the ref, who pulled a yellow card and waved it in his face. Dangerous play. One more like that, and you're out. Makino Tomoaki's jaw dropped. But I didn't even touch him. Everyone else just gave him a look of disgust. On the field, cards aren't just for injuries, they're for intent. Truthfully, that move could have been a red. The yellow card was the ref cutting him some slack. But Ye Chen wasn't hoping for Makino Tomoaki to get tossed. He wasn't done with him yet. Ye Chen's goal had lit a fire under Westfalenstadion. Goal! The announcer's shout echoed through the stadium, and the fans exploded. Did you see that? Ye just nailed a long-range bomb past Lenzing. Last season's top keeper didn't have a prayer against Ye's shot. That's our man, Ye. Louder. Who scored that goal? Ye. 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 What's the name of the player who just scored? Ye Chen. Ye Chen. Ye Chen. Let's hear it. Shout the goal scorer's name together. Hala hala Ye Chen Ye Chen. Ye Chen from China. Our favorite Chinese boy. That's how they do it at Westfalenstadion. After every goal, the host asks the fans who scored, 3 times. That way, they remember the players who score for them. The Dortmund faithful in Westfalenstadion started singing Ye Chen's song. Right then, Ye Chen was their hero. Hearing the Ye Chen chant for the first time, Ye Chen froze for a beat, then smiled. He clapped for the fans around him to show his appreciation. The Ye Chen song went on for a full 3 minutes before it died down, and the game got back underway. Back in China, the sports networks went wild. Huang Jianxiang, after celebrating the goal, exclaimed, "That's awesome." Ye Chen gave Makino Tomoaki the perfect reply. It was a one-on-one showdown, and Ye Chen nailed it with that long shot. Huang Jianxiang agreed. What China really needs is players who aren't afraid to take chances and shoot. Too bad the Football Association already said they're not recruiting right now, their roster's full. Zhang Jun said regretfully. But you know, maybe it's for the best. Let him get even stronger. When he joins the national team, China's gonna be unstoppable. I can't wait to see Ye Chen playing for his country. Huang Jianxiang's voice was full of excitement. Let's hope that U17 experience didn't get him down. Zhang Jun said with a touch of worry. But I'm always behind Ye Chen. I read that piece by Li Xinran, the reporter from Sports Weekly in Germany. She said Ye Chen's always the first one at Dortmund's training ground and the last to leave. A player like that deserves all the support he can get. Huang Jianxiang nodded. Alright, let's get back to the game. Dortmund's attacking again. After scoring, Ye Chen snapped back to reality and checked his game stats. He saw he was in an extraordinary state today, and a smile spread across his face. No wonder everything felt so smooth and natural when he shot. This state was truly amazing. Of course, it was boosted by the blessings of fans. Otherwise, even in a high state, he'd only be at 90% of his potential, but this pushed him to 95%. In the system, each level of state shows how much of their ability a player can use. When your state is low, you're only at 50%, a huge drop-off, of course. High is 90%, and extraordinary is 95%. If you reach perfection, it's 100%. After coughing up the goal, Cologne kicked off and started moving upfield, but Kyle shut them down fast. He passed to Schmelzer on the left. This time, Schmelzer played it safe, passing it back to the defense instead of trying a risky dribble. They needed to settle down after that goal, regroup and try to take back control of the game. At 8 minutes 35 seconds, Xiangchuan dribbled to the end line and tried to find Ye Chen cutting in, but Sasha Light cleared it at the last second. Dortmund gets a corner. Ye Chen hung back near the edge of the box. Shinji Kagawa knew Ye Chen, knew what he was thinking. Götze did, too. Götze was small, not built for headers, but there were already giants like Hummels, Subotic, and Kyle clogging the Cologne penalty area. They had the height, so Götze didn't crowd the box. Instead, he went to meet the ball near the corner flag. Here we go. Kagawa played a short pass to Götze, a tactical corner. But Götze didn't hold the ball. He passed it right to Ye Chen at the top of the box. Ye Chen was already set, ready for the ball to come to him. I'm on to you. Makino Tomoaki had been glued to Ye Chen. He got hyped as soon as the ball went to Ye Chen. You're not getting another shot this time. But seeing Makino Tomoaki charging, Ye Chen smirked. Who said he was going to shoot? Bang! Ye Chen snapped his leg and drove his foot into the bottom of the ball. The football turned into a rocket and shot towards the goal. No, it hit Makino Tomoaki. Right in the face. Boom! The ball, flying at over 60 miles per hour, slammed into Makino Tomoaki's eager face. Chapter 60 Makino Tomoaki, the shoveling man, hurt himself. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As they say, even saints have their limits, let alone ordinary folks. Barely 10 minutes into the game, Tomoaki Makino was already pulling and shoving. Of course Ye Chen was gonna be pissed. But payback's a dish best served cold. Seeing him charge in, Ye Chen didn't hold back and delivered a gift. The soccer ball made solid contact with his face, and the big guy went down hard. Just as the ball landed, Rainish booted it out of bounds. The crowd groaned. After all, Ye Chen's previous long-range shot was a highlight reel play they wouldn't forget soon. Seeing his shot blocked by Makino Tomoaki, Ye Chen looked disappointed. But he still gave Gatsa a thumbs up, acknowledging the great pass. Makino Tomoaki felt dazed, seeing stars, but his Cologne teammates rushed to his side. "Tomoaki, you okay? Nice play. Awesome interception." Hearing the praise, Makino Tomoaki grinned. It felt good to be appreciated. He shook his head, clearing the cobwebs, and got back on his feet. "I'm good. I've got this kid's moves figured out." Makino Tomoaki boasted to his teammates, a cocky grin on his face. "Good D, keep it up." Podolski patted him on the back. He was fired up now. Watching Makino Tomoaki instantly bounce back to life, Ye Chen was slightly surprised. Gotta give it to him, the dude had grit. Of course, Ye Chen wasn't trying to seriously injure anyone, just teach him a lesson, but now he seemed even more pumped. Fine. Time to humiliate him. Ye Chen's eyes blazed with determination. Dortmund was the stronger team, especially in the midfield. Cologne struggled to break into Dortmund's half, while Dortmund's offense flowed into Cologne's territory with ease. They knew this going in, so Solbacken's 4-3-3 formation had the wingers and midfielders dropping back on defense. Just like Klopp believed in Ye Chen, Solbakken had unwavering faith in Podolski. Unfortunately, individual talent can't always close a team-wide gap. 25 minutes and 22 seconds into the match, after a relatively quiet 20 minutes, Dortmund's attack surged again. Back in China, in the sports channel's broadcast booth, Huang Jianxiang said with enthusiasm, "Weidenfeller has the ball and boots it long to Kyle. Kyle heads it to Ye Chen. As you can see, Ye Chen's acceleration and top speed are much faster than Makino Tomoaki's, so Ye Chen always gets there first. Ye Chen has the ball, not rushing. Xiangchuan and Gatsa are both making runs. Wow, what was that? He just fried Makino Tomoaki. Ye Chen blew right past him with that move." On the field, Ye Chen faced Tomoaki Makino again after receiving Kyle's header. Makino Tomoaki was on high alert, crouching low and focused on Ye Chen. He was gonna stop Ye Chen with everything he had. But Ye Chen, who had slowed down, suddenly sped up. Tomoaki Makino recognized it, Ye Chen's signature power move. He'd seen the highlight reels of Ye Chen bowling over defenders, he'd seen the videos. Tomoaki Makino had just one word for those guys: idiots. If Ye Chen tried that, he wouldn't even think about getting out of the way. Sure enough, when Ye Chen accelerated, Tomoaki Makino stood his ground, but at that moment, Ye Chen flicked the ball from his right to his left foot, simultaneously cutting inside. Makino Tomoaki didn't flinch. He knew Ye Chen was gonna try and smash his way through. But in a flash, Ye Chen tapped the ball forward with his left foot, exploding with speed again. He blew past Tomoaki Makino with ease. Makino Tomoaki stood there stunned. That was cheap. He hadn't done that before. Before Makino Tomoaki could react, Podolski, who had dropped back to defend, shouted, "Tomoaki, what are you doing? Get back here." Only then did Makino Tomoaki snap out of it and scramble back, but Ye Chen already had 2 or 3 steps on him. Kagawa was open on the left, Gatsa on the right. He had options. He faked a pass to Kagawa's feet, which drew Sashrit to shift left, but Ye Chen raised his foot and then gently set it down. A pump fake. Ye Chen flicked the ball back to his stronger foot and went for a volley. Don't even think about shooting. Too late, Tomoaki Makino reacted and slid into the penalty area. Seeing Ye Chen take a shot, Makino Tomoaki went to ground, tackling again. This time he was positive he'd nail it. He had to get the ball, but Ye Chen faked him out again. He'd been watching Makino Tomoaki out of the corner of his eye, waiting for him to bite. Oh, Ye Chen's kicking foot came down again, cushioning the ball with the inside of his foot. Only now did Makino Tomoaki realize he'd been duped. He tried to stop, but it was too late. The momentum of the tackle took Ye Chen down. Ye Chen wasn't faking this time after all. Getting wiped out by a guy that big was bound to send you flying. Whistle. The referee, having seen everything, rushed into the penalty area and pointed to the penalty spot. Then, without hesitation, he pulled out a yellow and a red card. The yellow was for the tackle from behind, and since it was Makino Tomoaki's second, the red meant he was ejected. Makino Tomoaki didn't argue, just covered his head. What was happening to him? He tried to provoke Ye Chen early on, but instead, he had lost it. Now he finally understood. You despicable Chinese. Makino Tomoaki hissed, glaring at Ye Chen, his eyes fixed on him. Ye Chen remained calm. As the saying goes, never argue with an idiot, because you can never win. As Tomoaki Makino walked off the field, the stadium filled with boos. Ye Chen stepped outside the penalty area. With his current standing on the team, he wasn't usually the one to take penalty kicks, even if he had earned it. But then Klopp's voice rang out, like he'd take the penalty. Huh? This seemed familiar.